Bug-type Pokemon. Both the type of Pokemon that is most commonly referred to as being the worst or the least favorite in the entire fandom, and also the core inspiration of why the series even exists in the first place. So, I thought that it would be fun / interesting to just, talk about what are my personal favorite bug-type Pokemon, and why. And probably will repeat this process for all 18 types, because, why the hell not? And seems like a pretty good Pokemon-related topic. So, without any further ado, bug Pokemon. Well, first, we have Golisopod. Now, the reason why I like Golisopod is because, one, I like how massive the shift between the first and second form is. Like, I like the fact that it goes from absolutely tiny and small to big and massive and tentacly, and that there's, because there easily could have been a second middle phase, but I like the fact that there's not. Also, I will admit that the worst thing about Golisopod is that because of its ability, it's pretty easy for it to kind of, get sent away because its health hits half before it really accomplishes much, especially considering that it is slow. But because of the fact that it's able to learn both First Impression and Aqua Jet, which are both priority stab moves, and sure, like, one of them's 90 and the other's 40, so not the best moves out there. It still is the type of thing where, like, in most cases, by using a First Impression and an Aqua Jet, you will be able to kill your opponent. And sure, maybe after that, realistically, you get killed or get switched out, but and it is also true that when you get switched out, you're kind of in a situation where when you come back in, like, you use your one priority move and then you're dead because your health is, under half, which is why he's lower on the list. Then next we have Frostmoth. So Frostmoth, it's hard to talk about because a lot of the reason why I like it is related to a different bug Pokemon that will be appearing later in the list. So I guess for now it's just that, like, Frostmoth, I love its design, it's majestic. I like the fact that other Pokemon got essentially an ice variant. However, it's also true that it is significantly frailer, has way more weaknesses, and I think is even slower than its fire-type counterpart. And for that reason, just not quite as good. Also, in addition to that, just for the record, I don't love Snom. Like, I don't hate Snom, but it's not here because Snom best. Like that, nah. Then Centiskorch. So Centiskorch is here for a couple of reasons. One, a bug-type Pokemon based off of a centipede is something that I think is really cool and is something that I had been hoping for a really long time. Also, I also really like it when they take types that are opposites that clash and combine them with each other. So, not only is Firebug an example of that, but so is, like, Fire Grass or Fire Ice or Ground Electric. So just I like those weird type combinations that technically don't make any sense. And then also, in addition to that, his G-Max form is really cool aesthetically, even though the G-Max move that he gets is worse than the Dynamax move. So if you're going to run a Centiskorch, it's probably better to do it Dynamax than Gigantamax. And yeah, and he looks serious. And even though it's a little goofy, the big giant fire X that's on his face, which is kind of like an X and kind of like fire and kind of like two mustaches overlapping each other, and also kind of like a fire version of the X that's on the Metagross's face. It works for me, and I like it. Next, we have Vespiquen. Now, the reason why I like Vespiquen is just because most bug Pokemon are pretty frail, so just the fact that they gave us a tanky bug Pokemon, I like. And one thing that's also cool, now, it is true that Vespiquen is bug flying, so it does have a quad resistance to rock. So you hit it with a rock move, GG, it's dead. But it's tanky enough that that's kind of like the only effective way. Because from my experience using it anyway, even though it's weak to fire and flying type moves, it can tank the hits pretty well. Also, in addition to that, like, the fact that it can, attack, defend, and heal is nice. And the worst thing about it, though, is that it's limited to, like, attack order, heal order, defend order, and then, like, normal bug moves. So like, the fact that in order to heal, you have to have heal order, and that it can't learn, like, recover or anything, at least I don't think, does hold it back a little bit. And then also it is a Pokemon that can be a little hard to get, just because, the male Combees can't evolve. But that's also, a problem that you only have to deal with once. Alright, next up, Ninjask. So, I like Ninjask because it's super fast and it hits super hard. Now, yeah, it has, like, horrible defensive stats and health, and therefore it theoretically, if it attacks and doesn't kill, it's dead, and that does suck. But it is also true that, like, give it a Focus Sash, teach it Sword Dance once, well, now you're at +1 speed because of speed boost, +2 strength because of the Swords Dance, and therefore you're sweeping pretty well. Now, it is also true, though, that its coverage isn't very good, because obviously it can learn Bug Flying and normal type moves, and Dark, pretty sure it gets Bite. But obviously that's not horrible coverage, but that's not the best. And, for example, and it doesn't really have many moves that can kill what it's weak to. Like, it doesn't really have a way to kill rock, and then also against fire, it's like, I guess maybe you could be like, oh, I kept Mud Bomb or Mud Shot or what, because when it's Nincada, it's technically a ground type Pokemon, so it gets a couple of really weak ground type moves, but unfortunately, even with high attack and a Swords Dance, like, a 20 power ground move is not gonna kill a fire Pokemon, and you'd probably be better off using just, like, Slash and also hoping for the high crit rate to proc and become a reality. But I definitely do like him. And obviously, of course, a real use for him that's very viable is, boost your attack, boost your speed, and then use Baton Pass to send out something that has bulk. And then, well, GG. Galvantula. So, most of the reason why I like Galvantula is its design, and I do also think that the whole electric spider aesthetic is cool. It's also kind of got the same situation as Golisopod, where I like the fact that there's a massive gap between the first form and the final form, and that there easily could have been a middle phase that there wasn't. And it's also true that when I use it in combat, usually the general strat is just, I throw Sticky Web out on the ground so that anything that they send out, unless it's like flying or levitating will get that speed drop, and then because of that, that makes the difference, and then now my sweepers outspeed their sweepers. And like, it is true that usually it's like he comes out, he does that one thing and he dies, but it really does usually make a pretty big difference when it comes to how the battle as a whole plays out. Then Yanmega. I'll keep this one short because Yanmega really is very much so the same as Ninjask. Like, yeah, it's a dragonfly, which is cool, and it's got a great design, but from a gameplay perspective, it really is just, well, the Ninjask, except it has better stats overall and a better move pool overall. So, very much so, big fan of the Yanmega. One thing that I will say, though, is that it is a little bit lame that Yanmega is bug flying, because I do feel like that making a dragonfly Pokemon and not having it be part dragon does seem like a little bit of a missed opportunity. Like, but it is also true that if they had made it be a bug dragon, then your options are then it would be susceptible to ground type moves. I mean, it would be normal effect. No. Ground type moves, it wouldn't be immune to ground type moves, which I guess really wouldn't be that big of a deal. And if you did give it levitate, well then you'd lose speed boost. So for every con there's a pro. Then next we have Shedinja. And now obviously I understand that like Shedinja's really not that hard to deal with because he does have a lot of weaknesses, and also any sort of weather, any sort of arena trap, like spikes or whatever, will kill it. But the reason why I like it is because I like to use him as a closer, because the idea is that like your opponent's team can have solutions to Shedinja, but realistically 2 or 3 of their Pokemon are going to have solutions to him, but not all 6. And it's just fun to just be like, oh, your Walrein was using Hail, but I killed it and the Hail ran out. And then your Infernape had Fire Punch, but I killed it with something else. And therefore now I can set out Shedinja, and your other 4 Pokemon don't have weather, don't have field hazards, and don't have super effective. Like he's definitely a one-trick pony. He's definitely risky, and it's definitely pretty easy for using Shedinja to go wrong, but I love him because of his potential. Also, he's dead. Just like me on the inside. So I relate to him on a personal level. Next, we have Volcarona. Now, I'll keep this one short too, because Volcarona is the one I was alluding to earlier when talking about Frostmoth, and Volcarona really is, what if Frostmoth was fire instead of ice, and then had all of its stats better and had a better move pool? And I remember that when Black and White came out, many people, myself included, thought that Volcarona was a legendary. Like, based on the way it's designed, based off of how you encounter it, and based off of how strong it is in combat, so many people were just like, that's a legendary that's not on the box. And the fact that a regular non-legendary Pokemon was able to get so many people to think, yeah, I'm a god, when it's not, like, that really does speak to Volcarona's badassery. And then we got Shuckle. Now, you know, he's Shuckle, and you don't fuckle with him. And yeah, it's just like, because with Shuckle, obviously, I love the fact that he's got like 600 of each defensive stat, and that therefore even like the best sweepers hit him and do like 10 damage. And it's also true, though, that sure, like, Shuckle's actual health stat is low, and therefore super effective moves can destroy him, and critical hits will destroy him. Because, you know, critical hits ignore any raises that you have to your defensive stats. but I like but it's also, it doesn't matter, because even with only like 150 health, a normal effective hit's doing 10, and a super effective hit that's not a crit is doing 25, which means, well, that's 6 super effective hits or 15 normal effective hits before he goes down. But also, every time you raise your defensive stats, it takes a little longer to bring him down. And then, of course, personally, I like to have him kill by just, poisoning with Toxic. And also, in addition to that, my specific strat is I run my Shuckle with Contrary, Leftovers, and Shell Smash. So every turn I heal from Leftovers, every turn the opponent takes some damage from the Toxic, and when I use Shell Smash, well, it raises my defensive stats and cuts everything else, because Contrary inverts the stat changes. And then there you go. So that's my personal, I believe that was 10? I think it might have been 11. My favorite, but regardless, my favorite bug-type Pokemon in Pokemon. Hope you enjoyed, and thank you oh so very much for watching.